fortune, fame, mirror vein, gone insane, but the memory remains.
Hello everybody and welcome to part, I don't remember what part this is. It's been like a couple days since I played this. It's been a couple days since I recorded it, so yeah. Let me check real quick. Part 8. Alright. Last we left off, I kind of said fuck it in the middle of Rebecca's storyline because I couldn't read worth of shit and it just aggravated the hell out of me, and I was finally like, screw it. Cut the video. Anyway, let's go. And before we do anything, there we go. The rest of my day waits. 15 minutes later, I'm heading back out, dressed for the day, my car keys in hand. Ordinarily, I don't stop for anything. There's never a need to. That's the beauty of this apartment complex. It's quiet and everyone keeps to themselves. No useless platitudes in the morning, no need to wear a smile on your face lest other people are nosy enough to ask. However, today, the morning broadcast still plays from Isabella's room. My brisk pace slows to a stop. A frown gradually forms on my face.
She hasn't left.
Of course, this isn't unusual. There are times when I've left earlier than she did, like last Friday before their open house. But those days are few and far between. It's only because of this It only happens in the direst circumstances, though the last part of that might be a bit of an exaggeration. However, with what happened in the last few days, maybe today is one. The death of a friend isn't something anyone can brush off. And for someone like Isabella's the kind who gets attached to people easy. With Zachary, Ashton, and I, that has been the case. I can't imagine what she might be going through right now, especially when the woman was someone she owed a lot, despite their training being brief. I've given her the space last night in deference. But perhaps today might be the proper time to check on her.
Oh, whatever. I've still got time anyway.
With light steps, I move close to the door, hand already poised to knock. Still, I don't do so until I hear her answer me.
Isabella? Belle? Are you in there?
No answer. Real quickly, I'm pretty sure I remember the answer, but... Come on, where is it? There we go. Yeah, that's the storyline I picked, was go to work. After a second, I finally knock, lightly so I don't disturb her in case she's sleeping and has merely left the telly running last night. Never mind how she never lets that happen, ever. Waste of electricity and all.
I just want to check on you before I leave. Is that okay? Are you going to work today, Belle?
Still
I'm
nothing.
about to leave. If you want, I can drop you off.
Another round of knocking. Then when I fish out her copy of her key from my bag and unlock the door. She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered to help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insisted. At one point, I simply stopped trying to hand it back to her.
Isabella? I'm coming in, all right?
Without waiting for an answer, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. Her unit's still a mess. Instant cup noodles on the table, pile of clothing on one side, papers strewn about everywhere, and an unkept bed, amongst other things. This much is a given. Will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being with the place in this state. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it certainly wasn't. But it's certainly not finding an empty flat. Granted, she could have left earlier, far earlier than usual, but she never leaves without making sure she unplugged everything. That's something she doesn't forget to do. It doesn't help that our bathroom appears unused this morning. Another habit, and it will only mean she hasn't been here since last night. What day is it? Well, it's not the 24th. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I remember now. Yeah, it would be the 25th. Early on the 25th, she went and talked to Zachary, and then this is where we're at now. Or between the two. Perhaps even since the morning after Miss Cooper's death. Either idea doesn't sit well with me. What with the news I've been hearing lately.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Gathering my wits, I immediately place a call to her mobile. It rings for a good minute. The sound is a comfort in itself, but another minute rolls by without her answering. Well, I'm not a woman prone to panic. Sudden bouts of temper, maybe, but never panic, despite how I may sound when speaking. But then it ultimately goes straight to her voicemail. A sigh is the only thing I let out. Pause doesn't last, though. In the next moment, my finger is already moving across the screen in search of two people who might be able to help. It's Ashton's number I find first and dial. Call it a habit, but even Isabella thinks he's dependable and the situation calls for it, despite how much they give each other grief. That already says a lot about him. There's Zachary, but around this hour he's probably still sleeping. If he has freelance work, it's probably likely he's just gotten himself in bed. He's the last person I want to bother, if anything. The wait doesn't last long. Soon a click, and then Ashton's voice echoes across the receiver, rough and still heavy with sleep. He never did grow fond of mornings.
Becca? Christ, what time is it? What's up?
Not you, apparently.
Good one. Did you call us early just to make that joke? I'm going back to sleep.
No, Ash, hold on. This is important.
Becca, stakeout last night. Make this quick. I've still got a few hours before the chief bothers me.
Sorry, I'll let you go back to sleep after. It's just that... Wait, you were on a stakeout last night?
Did I say that? Shit. Forget I said that. Forget I said anything. Forget we had this conversation.
So, you have no idea?
About what? About what? I also have no idea why we're talking so early in the morning, so there's that.
No, will you stop sleep talking or whatever for a second? Belle didn't come home last night. She's gone.
Who?
Isabella!
Instead of an answer, a brief pause comes after, followed by something blunt and heavy hitting a hard surface and with a string of rather colorful curses from him. You'll hear that? The moment might have been one of many. The moment might have been one of the many things I keep to myself and remember fondly in the next few days if things aren't the way they are. And he picks it up again. There's no trace of sleep left in his voice.
Say that again, from the top.
Isabella's gone, Ash. She didn't come home last night. Her flat's empty. She left her telly running. You know she doesn't do that at...
Okay, Becca, stop. Calm down first. You're starting to panic.
I'm not!
You are. Breathe.
One person's not going to simply disappear like that. This is Isabella we're talking about. Did you try calling her?
What did you think is the first thing I did? She's not picking up. It went to her voicemail.
How about Zach? Did you check with him?
Not yet. I didn't want to bother him. You know he has trouble sleeping and all that.
All right, I'll go ask Zach. I'll call you back.
No, wait!
He ends the call before I can utter a single word in protest. But for the first time entering this room, the tension is gone from my shoulders and my breathing is eased. The bed creaks as I sink down on it with a sigh. The telly still blares the same uninteresting news, and I'm surrounded by clutter. All the same, I feel strangely calm to be here without worry nagging me. I'll have to apologize to Zach later for sending Ashton his way this early, but for now, relying on the ladder for this isn't the wrong choice. It never will be. That's something I won't ever doubt about him, much like his promises. Shit, I gotta go check something. Okay, I'm back, and that should be all I have to do, at least for now. So hopefully there's not going to be any more disturbances. It's something I won't ever doubt about him, or that's something I won't ever doubt in him, much like his promises. And true to his word, he calls back only a few minutes after the last one has
She's
ended.
with Zach.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She could have at least sent a message last night.
What are you, her mother?
That's one thing to hear from Isabella, but from
I
Ashton?
don't want to hear anything like that from you.
I'm serious. You've got to stop treating her like she's one of your students, Becca. You don't have to keep tabs on her every time. Last I checked, she's only 3 years younger than the two of us. That's almost a decade gap from those kids you're teaching, you know.
Says the person who keeps calling her Scaredy Cat.
That's not related at all. Anyway, I'll go check how she's doing. Don't stress yourself out. You go ahead to work.
Wait, you? Don't you have a precinct to be at? Whatever happened to not treating her like one of my students? Because if anyone's going to ask me, I think you're doing the same thing.
Zach said it's an emergency. Something happened last night.
Emergency?
He didn't put in those exact same words, but it sounded like it.
Ash, what really happened? Is Isabella fine?
She's alright. She's safe. Zach let her stay the night after she... Look, okay. Z-Man wasn't clear about it, but let me handle this. I'll check on her. I'll bring her home.
It sounds like a lie. It sounds like a lie if I've ever heard one. The sort where he omits things so people won't fret, but I'm not sure whether I should be happy he cares that much to do that. There shouldn't be a need for this between us, is there? We grew up together, didn't we? He knows I'm capable of at least hearing out the truth without it gnawing at me for the rest of the day. He knows me better than that. I know him better than that. Frankly, there's plenty of other things to say about this. But despite and after all the trouble he went through, and how things are moving at the moment, only one thing occurs to me. What should I say? Oh, well, shit. There's already a choice. Yeah, that's what I thought. Just let it be. I recognize his concern for what it is, and not without a few. It's not new for him to go out of his way for us, to be honest. This is what I love about him. As much as I would have loved to take this off his hands, it'll only be selfish of me to insist, considering he knows of my other commitments. To do so feels like I'll be trampling over that kindness he seldom offers to anyone.
Sorry for putting you up to this.
Nah, don't mention it. You've got other things you need to worry about. Take care of those first. This is a small thing.
I still owe you one.
Oh, I can name a few things you can do about that. You know, there's this ice cream shop that opened near the movie house. I could use.
Okay, let's stop right there. That's enough. On second thought, maybe I'll just think about it some other time.
Harsh.
We both laughed. Or we both laughed. The sound lighter and more comfortable. Like the old days when the wayward 26-year-old at the bottom of the list like the old days when a wayward 26-year-old is at the bottom of the list we need to worry about. This is how we find common ground. We may not agree on a lot of things. We may see things the way the other does, but the give and take is something we've learned to get used to over the years. Whenever it's like this, confidence in him is the least I can offer as thanks.
Really? Thanks for this, Ash.
I'll let you know what happened afterwards. I promise. I'll call you later. You have a good day. Bye.
I admit the way he puts it isn't comforting enough. He can be blunt like that, so many unknown variables, so many words left unsaid. I wish he'd simply lay them out in the open because, like this, I'm more inclined to think there's an exaggeration on the other's part. If it's from Zachary or Ashton, I don't know. In the end, all I can do is wait, go about my day, and hope for the best. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I'll get answers from her later. For now, my concerns are best left here. The rest of the day slips by in a blur. Despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events from surfacing in my mind, it sticks. In a way, everything today feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual, every topic, no matter how mundane it seems. I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought quite a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstitious talk of death. When the locals talk about death here, anyone can sure as hell count on someone bringing up the mansion Isabella sold not a few weeks ago. Don't you mean a few days ago? Let's make sure I didn't misread that. And what's the date? 25th. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. Fuck it. Even my own students won't stop yapping about it. I think it's even worse than when it was put back up in the market. Now there are more stories. If this is the world reminding me of what matters, or simply because the atmosphere around this time of the year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. At least then, I can be sure people will forget about it in favor of another set of holidays after. Nevertheless, and this may be a painful thing to admit, but listening to them is a pleasant distraction while waiting for Ashton's call. I hope he didn't forget. School day is about to end.
No, that's got nothing with what I heard.
You always hear stuff. And I'm not sure if half of them I'm not sure if half of them's even real. There we go.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
I can hear you from back here, you know.
Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again.
Okay, so it wasn't Rowan with them. Or maybe they said it was maybe they said Rowan stayed behind or something. I don't remember. But
no one knows what happened to them. Up to this day. Scary shit, man.
Cock and bull story. Calling it now.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
Their talk immediately halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still a word to put a stopper to this nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by these stories is one thing, but reckless ideas should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes of it.
Back to your worksheets, everyone. And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now. You'd all better stay away from it before...
At the noise, a whole lot of them go silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. The look on their faces would have made for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If there's a Studer loitering around, someone's going to be.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk. Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
I can sense their eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. A bit unnerving, but it's far more agreeable than the feeling of being watched I've been enduring for the last few days. Class is still in session for most of the rooms. In a few hours, once the final bell rings, however, this place will once again be filled with busy chatter and footfall, then an everyday cycle in itself. But for the moment, I let the silence guide me. My ears focus on whatever sound whatever sounds there are and will. Goddamn, here we go. My ears focusing on whatever sounds there are or there will be, searching for that distinct clanging of metal. A good minute passes, and for a portion of it, only my steps echoes through the hall, and another. I'm about to turn around when the sound of it halts my footsteps. It's a little muffled and frequent, but grows louder with each interval. With the hallway devoid of people, if I don't put a stop to it soon, it'll disturb the other classes still going on. Looking for it doesn't take long. All I do is follow the racket, and shortly, I'm standing in front of the nondescript row of unoccupied lockers. And from inside one of them, sitting in the middle, comes the noise. Annoyingly disruptive now that I'm facing it. Like someone's pounding on a metal door from the inside, hoping to get out. Leaning forward, I try to glimpse into the horizontal slats of whatever's causing it. But in this light, only darkness greets me in another round of clanging. Louder than the previous one. More desperate. I've heard stories before from other schools, from a few colleagues who have had to deal with it once or twice. Although personally, I've never encountered one myself. You can only thank the heavens I haven't yet.
If this is another kid, some other student stuffed in a locker.
With a huff, I straighten up and sturdy it. Briefly with a frown. Without delay, I reach for its handle, and at once it stops. Immediately replaced by the muffled sound of a mobile phone ringing. I give the door a few raps before taking my attention away. A second, another. When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and pull out my mobile. Yeah, that probably just saved my ass. Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in light of this morning's matters. Or maybe because I'm just expecting some grave or serious news from him. Instead, I get
Hey,
this.
Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
There are only two things I know that could be the reason for this tone. Sweets, or he's gotten a good lead on his case. From the sound of it, I gotta assume it's the former, since lately that case is all that's running inside his head. If there's ever a third eye, I never heard about it yet. It can only be one of two.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
Drove her home a few minutes ago. I think she's sleeping now. Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave. Had some food prepared for us, apparently. We didn't have the heart to say no.
That's all right. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work. It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
The word triggers a memory from 3 days ago, on the way home with our little treat, or from her little treat after she sold the mansion. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I won't lie, it scared me. The terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly
Becca?
screamed.
Still there?
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried. Maybe she'll speak up if it's you?
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get, but thanks for letting me know about this. If you want, I can get you that ice cream thing you mentioned tonight as thanks.
Ah,
Just as thanks for all the trouble I've caused today.
Believe me, I'd love to take you up on that offer, but I've got something on my schedule this evening. Maybe some other time? Thanks a lot, Becca.
there's a short pause before he cuts the call from his end, and once again I'm alone with my thoughts. But rather than answers, all I got from it are questions. More of them, one on top of the other, as if the world isn't planning to give me a break anytime soon. That's a problem I'll tackle later. Right now, I've got students who need to be taught follies of eavesdropping. Ow. If the slightly open door and their smothered laughter from inside is an indication.
All right, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Gale?
None of your business.
Yeah, he totally is. A quick scuffle follows that comment. If there's a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue, I drop every pretense of letting it loose on them. There's no use arguing with teenagers sometimes, boisterous as they all are. They're still my kids, though. Rough around the edges, maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to my classroom with a smile, but not before taking a glance at the locker again. Hasn't made a sound since.
Must be the wind.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't. And that's not even me, insinuating it could have been the grudge bitch, because the wind doesn't do that. So, without another look, I leave it alone. Oh, so it was the grudge bitch. Well, she didn't even fucking see it. Yeah, that's completely skipping over these two, whatever these two lines are. All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. Could have gone better, mind you, but with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun is set looks as though But with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun has set looks as though it's a far-off dream for now. At least until they're over. Then we have the holiday to look forward to. There really are times when you simply take what you can get for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
All I'm hoping for is this'll continue until the whole day ends. There's still that promise I made to Aston, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to him, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can do it all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
Nevertheless, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, if only because because I'm also worried about her, and both Zachary and Ashton deemed it important that somebody get the story out of her. Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with the letter. Again, it fucking does. I mean, you done seen the grudge bitch. I mean, at least fucking Marianne, she whenever she saw something, it was something subtle that she noticed, and, well, subtle, not really. I mean, it was enough for her to just wonder what the fuck is going on. And when she finally did see something, she knew what it was. Or she knew it was some weird supernatural shit. I mean, she seems to be the only one, aside from Rebecca and Zachary, that actually have taken to, taking the situation as it is. I understand if she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping that story going on for more than a week is it's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I merely don't want this to end with another argument. God willing, the cafe special will help smoothen things out. After all, it's always been food with her, or money, but mostly food. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to the brim with people. Oops. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go here during the evenings. It's simply too much of a hassle when we can prepare food ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. But with life going on and a busy streak, no time for long lines. Better spend that doing something productive. Yes.
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only a few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact. A woman in her 60s, a teenage boy, a teenager busy on his phone. Both are just waiting to be served their orders. The other 2, a posh-looking man and a child, who I immediately recognize as Kylie, appear to have not yet picked anything where they want. For some reason, my stares linger on the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looks harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before. Well, it's fucking Luke. And I've said it before, he's the only character in this game that I'm willing to let die. Because I just do not like him. Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps? Even so, there's something familiar about him. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before. That also begs the question of why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's both a bit worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company, though. I tear my eyes away from them soon enough once the guy on the counter appears, ready to take my order. That, and I'd also hate to be accused of ogling strangers.
2, evening special, takeout.
He's already punching the order, before I even finish. Saying the words out loud is really more of a formality's sake and made out of habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the 2 of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order while I fish out my wallet.
Look, you little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave? I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
Their parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle. Now come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Oh, what I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
What? That is probably the worst thing for him to have fucking said. Wrong one. After what he just fucking said, I'm surprised this isn't just like fucking right here. My whole attention instantly snaps to them and their conversation. Jumping to conclusions isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when all I have are baseless assumptions, but you really can't trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move, yet. My hands have already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. A hardbound textbook. Looks harmless, but if the situation calls for it, it might be a good deadly weapon. There ain't no way in hell you can use a fucking book as a deadly weapon. I mean, it could be as hard as it wants. But, well, I suppose if it was one of them fucking ancient looking books, but, fucking might. Not even might. Again. I haven't gotten a chance to try it anywhere so far. That's a good thing. Today could be the day.
But you promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise. I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one.
This is sounding so bad for him. And I know this isn't what it seems like, but goddamn, I hope she bitch smacks his sorry ass.
The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. And I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Okay, that's it. No hesitation. In a few paces, he's within my reach, and without warning, I slammed the flat area of the book against his skull. Ka! There's a cry of pain, followed by him instantly crouching down, hands nursing a sore spot. Almost comically, if this were one of the situations of the safety of St. Goretti students is a mistake, I'll simply feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amusing how fast her expression changed from the pouty one earlier to something that is utter delight upon seeing me. But this isn't any time for pleasantries, not even quick ones, because soon the man straightens and I'm ready with my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready, and before I can land another one, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. Okay, so that, first off, I thought you were trying to hit him with the flat of the fucking book, so why are you trying to hit him with the bottom bit of it? And the look on his face.
Bloody hell, woman! What's your problem?
To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. Had I been a weak-willed sort, I probably would cower under his sharp gaze. But that simply isn't how I roll. Knee him in the gut, knee him in the balls, stomp on his foot. Bring your other hand, bitch slap him. I don't fucking know. I mean, been in enough of, it's like serious shit. I've been in enough fights to be able to fucking think like that. It's like without even fucking stopping for, another minute to think. If he thinks he can scare me and do, if he thinks he can scare me and do as he pleases there, here, it's, just because I'm a woman or whatever his reasons may be, he's got another thing coming for him. Let's see. Well, she's got nails. Like, probably real long and sharp nails, so me scratch the shit out of them, go for the eyes, throat punch him. So instead, I return it to him the same instant with the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to run this town. What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
Oh, you think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
His grip on my hand tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. The nerve of this arsehole. If he thinks I'm going to give into his goading, please. If he thinks I'm going to give into his goading, please. He might as well just kiss his sorry behind. In fact, why not do the most sensible thing right now? Teach him the tough lesson. Well,
Mister,
yeah,
you have until the count of 5 to let me go and step out of my personal
I
space.
just said 3. Good. I don't really care. A fair warning. Fairer than any other any I can offer for people of his kind. And I'm already being considerate. And I just realized this probably puts a target on her back with Hannah after she gets possessed because kicking the balls. Hell, this arsehole doesn't even deserve a warning. If he doesn't listen well, he's as much responsible for what I'm going to do next.
Or else what? Such vulgar words coming out of that pretty mouth. A gorgeous flower like you shouldn't even be saying.
Don't say I didn't warn you, bowbag.
Love that intensity, Daisy. FYI, I like feisty in a woman. It gives them this certain charm. Why don't you?
5.
A second of silence. I got a trophy, nuts and bolts. Then, without any preamble, my leg moves in one fluid motion, delivers a swift, powerful, well-placed kick to his nether regions. Needless to say, the effect is instantaneous. He yelps abruptly, drops his hold on me, and kneels over, howling in pain. Well, I mean, if he doubles over, I'd follow up with another fucking knee to the face, but again, I can see tears forming in his corner of his eyes, too, though the mere sight of it prompts not an ounce of remorse from me. I would have been gentler if he isn't such a dirty little prick with the ego too big for his head. Too bad. Whether this obliterates any chance of him even procreating remains to be known. But a part of me is already praying he doesn't ever breed after this. We have no need for more of him in this world.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass!
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Oh, it is! What the fuck do you call it whenever you fucking was like making it really sound like you were fucking being a pedophile?
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Very much so, yes.
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion?
Yeah, especially with how many fucking stories are out there, too.
You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
He probably does need his head check after that fucking hit on the noggin.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife!
That much, at least, appears to be a sliver of truth. He even makes a show of brandishing his left hand, with much more, his left hand to my face with much flourish. Sure enough, the wedding ring is there, though all that earned him is an unimpressed glare from me. Well, I'd have had a surprised glare at the fact that he's such an asshole and is married. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whatever poor woman married this sod. I don't understand why he has to bring her up either, as if the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to his problems. She must surely be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my Teal?
Whatever word still left to this, left to be said dies right there on my tongue. The same thing goes for the sleaze. Besides us stands Kylie, gawking at us with the same curious stare she often brings with her. I know that all too well. A precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this, with children her age, it's a sign they won't leave you until you've given them an answer they're satisfied with. Mine won't do either. It has dissolved into a shouting match, for heaven's sake. And did she just say Tio? Something falls straight in the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension of what might be the first hints of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can very well be just the hunger speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Teal Luke.
Right at that moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man beside me dissipates in a haze. Amidst it all, one memory gets triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one in the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I've said earlier come out of my mouth.
He's my Teal Luke. Gazillionaire extraordinaire, am I? No, the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's...
Yeah, I might have just put Rebecca in a very bad situation here.
That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior, I shot straight back in my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade of my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole right here and now. His eyes are on me. I can feel them, jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. But I know I can hear the sneer in his tone when he talks. And he has that smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present, but just for the hell of it. But damage control. I need to do some damage control before the whole thing goes south. I don't want to do this, but... Okay, well, I mean, at least it gives me a chance to, you know... Though it pains me to apologize to the sleazebag like him, this is my mistake with Kylie watching us close by. I don't want to set a bad example for her, do I? I'm surprised she grew up I'm surprised she grew up the child she is. If anything, I want to be her role model, the role model this man could possibly become for her. Even if it does mean taking a few blows to my ego and stroking his insufferable one. A deep gulp of air, a short moment swallow my self-respect, and then I'm facing him. The words are out of my mouth in a single breath.
I'm really, really sorry, sir.
I got another trophy called the bigger person.
I had no idea.
His smirk is impossible to miss. He's not making an effort to hide it, and even the smile is so irritatingly present in his tone. If I could just slap it off of him, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Now, it's an honest mistake, Daisy.
You know what? Fuck apologize. I'm not knocking him in the fucking head again.
No, I really mean it. I actually thought you were... And then...
It's fine now. It probably happens quite a lot to a few people who look suspicious to you.
You know what? I take back the knock to the head. That would be another kick to the balls.
Seems I'm one of them now. But don't lose sleep over it.
Oh, I'm gonna neuter your sorry ass.
Do be careful with that book, though. A little more and you would have dislodged my poor brain off my head.
It's already dislodged, asshole.
What would I ever do if that happens?
Well, I mean, I think you should be considering what happens if you relodge it.
Oh no! Did it leave a mark or anything?
Well, I mean, I can leave another mark and cover up the previous mark.
If you want, we can have it checked. I'll handle the expenses if there's a need for it.
Now, what kind of man would I be if I let an attractive woman such as yourself do that? Why don't we just look at it this way? My forgiveness is coming from the utter goodness of my heart.
I hate him. So full of himself. Exactly the kind of person I'll happily leave to die in a ditch somewhere. Precisely what I'm thinking.
Of course, sir. Why didn't I think of it that way?
I know, right? But even someone as capable as you is bound to have a few lapses. No harm done, Daisy. Let's move on from this.
Well, if you're going to put it like that, then I guess there's nothing left for us to talk about.
I figured as much.
Awkward. The whole exchange is nothing but an awkward display of fake pleasantries. One that brings much agony to the very pride I've willingly held back a while ago. I might need a drink later, so I can forget any of this ever happened. Who would have thought the time would have come when I'd meet someone tougher to handle than Isabella? Miracle of miracles, I swear. Though to my surprise, he pre-offers me a hand shortly before they leave. First shake, I realize, after a long minute of staring at it. I accept it, albeit half-heartedly. But all the goodwill that small gesture represents melts in thin air when he winks at me. Winks. The gall of this man. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, The guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. He offers another smile before I leave. Normally, I'd return it simply for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the first time, I do so freely. After that encounter and that scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, it feels like a reassurance despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what I can get. I take what I can of it with me and step out into the night. I kicked Luke in the fucking dick. I kicked a dick in the dick. A cloudless night sky greets me when I walk out of the cafe, beyond the tall buildings and blankets of stars spread out before me. Isabella once told me that the best place to view it is someplace outside the city, away from the noise and obstructive lights. She'd seen it once in her mom's hometown, and another time in the university she used to attend, when she asked if it's possible to try it out there sometimes. I agreed with her at the time, if only because she appeared excited at the mere prospect of it. We made those plans along with Zachary and Ashton. Yeah, what happens on the 26th? Yeah, nothing really happens. I agreed with her at the time, if only... Okay, yeah, I already read that. Oh, yeah. Though up till now, we never got around it. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because it's at certain times when you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talent to ruin the mood of a scene with their mere existence alone. For example, the very driver of a car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me. But the fleeting moment we pass each other gives me a brief glance at the people he's with. It's the grudge bitch. Kylie's sitting on the back seat with the serving of bread pudding in her hands. Beside him must be his wife. It's not his wife, it was the grudge bitch. He takes a turn and disappears to the nearest corner. But throughout the night, that cursory glimpse of all things to bother me has left me wondering what kind of person his wife is. And more than that, a silent prayer to the universe. I hope I don't ever cross paths with that douche again. Alright. And for the love of God, I hope I get this sub-story. Because if they're talking to Isabella, I can only imagine that this is going to be, Isabella opening up to her. At least I'm assuming that's what it is. Yawns. Come on, it's only 5. Why am I yawning? After having such an eventful day, anyone who will think nothing will surprise me anymore. But here I am, standing at the top of a stairwell, watching an odd scene unfold before me. Relief crosses my mind first, followed by confusion.
What is she doing there?
Although, given what's happened this morning, the question feels a bit inappropriate to ask directly. What's important is Isabella's here. She's sitting cross-legged in the hallway, just right in front of her door, with several papers and folders scattered about. Each of them seems as important as the next. More than once, upon giving the scene a quick glance, I spot Briar Realty logo at the topmost area of the page. Everything considered, it looks like the mess was made by a third grader while working on crunch time. The landlady will have a few things to say about this when she finds out. I have a few things to say about it myself, in fact. But something in the calm, focused manner she holds herself at present keeps me from disturbing her with that reminder. She's going through each paper with this intensity. Her brows are furrowed, lips in a tight line, both hands moving in precise movements as she shifts through each page. When she finds something of note, she moves closer, nose almost touching whatever paper she's holding, and grabs her phone and calls someone.
Hello. Sorry to call you this late. There's something I just want to confirm, if that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Thanks anyway. Not that one either.
It's a cycle. She goes through call after call, then after the last one ends, she shuffles through the pile again and dials another number. Is it work? I've never seen her this engrossed in her own work before. Otherwise, she would have noticed my presence the moment I reached our floor. After the ninth call, she still appears oblivious to it as when I. Goddamn English. After the ninth call, she still appears as oblivious to it as when I first arrived. When she lets out a long sigh this time, I immediately take that as an opportunity to interrupt.
Isabella, you know the house rules here.
At once her head jerks back and hits the concrete wall behind her with a thump. Oh shit, I've done that before. That's the Isabella I know. Glad it's still here. I allow her a moment to nurse it before speaking again.
Becca, you're late.
Yeah, I ran into a little trouble at the cafe. But I brought food for the two of us, if you haven't eaten anything yet.
As anticipated, she grins once I raise the bag of food I'm holding. Yet it doesn't reach her eyes. There's nothing of that cheerful glint in it. There's nothing of this cheerful glint in it this time. Just a hollow tone for her, for the sake of being polite. Ashton's right. Something happened.
Yeah, maybe later. I've got to finish this first. Just leave it here. I'll eat it once I'm done. Thanks, Becca.
You can't eat this here. You know how the landlady would react. Why are you even working outside? Your room's right there.
I know. Sorry. It just feels stuffy in my apartment right now. I'll go back inside once everything's been aired out. I promise.
That has never bothered you before.
Well, it bothers me now.
Oh, really? Just now? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, you've been complaining even if it's not your room.
Okay, so my relationship with her is fine.
Now I know how you're feeling when it's messy, so I'm going to clean. Isn't that a good thing?
In spite of what's supposed to be good news, an exhale comes from me, drawn out and slow.
It's a good thing, Isabella. Believe me. But you're as bad as Zachary at lying. What's really going on?
She hastily averts her eyes, a surefire indicator that this is going to be one of those lengthy conversations that can possibly end with the other person angry. Again. It's one thing I'd like to avoid tonight at all costs. Still, I made a promise to Ashton and Zachary. If she didn't talk to them, who else is she going to talk to? If she keeps this all to herself, who knows what might happen.
Isabella, you can tell me. Is it about your family?
A slight movement in her lips, although a frown. It's a reaction at least. I'm getting there.
Rose?
She merely shakes her head. Just a little
Come
more.
on, I know something happened. I don't know if it's because of Rose, but I know it's related to her somehow. You weren't here when I visited this morning, and both Zachary and Ashton are worried about you. If you don't want to tell them, you can tell me. Does it have something to do with work? Office?
If I didn't know her, I might have missed it. Oh. She shifts then, her fists clenched tight, teeth biting her lower lip. And there's fear. The look of terror on her face. The look of terror on her is the last thing I expect to see out of everything. Her mouth trembles briefly before she opens them. Then, when she finally voices it out, the words simply spill out of her mouth. One after another. All of it. True to what I promised her, I listen. Because this is something she's been keeping to herself. Even from the two most dependable people I know. The fact she chooses to tell me this speaks a lot to
Becca,
me.
she was there again. Last night? In the office? Boss passed me all of Rose's Lurk load yesterday. For the Ermengarde mansion. I had to stay late to finish them all. And then, when I was about to go home, I saw her. I saw her again! She was standing in front of me again last night, Becca.
Looks like
I couldn't get away. She was blocking the door. If I hadn't hidden myself, even if I made the tiniest noise, if she found me. Becca, she almost did!
Well, technically she did, because I fucked that QuickTime like 3 times. Every time it was increasingly pissing me off. Because it was poorly handled. It's like, why would you speed the thing? I'm not going through it again.
If she saw me under my table, I think that would have been the end of it.
Girl, she'd have ate your ass and hung you up and fucking painted the walls with your fucking blood. I mean, that's kind of seems to be the running theme here.
I'm scared. I'm so scared I won't be able to do anything.
By the end, her hands are trembling and her breathing comes out in raspy intervals. For a long time, I let the silence stretch out between us. Let her sobs fill it instead. I missed that fucking sub-story. Or sub-event. Shit. But even as she whimpers die down, minutes later, there's a heaviness hanging in the air. Not just from her, but also from me. From my exasperation over the whole matter. From my own frustrations over her stupid superstitions. When she could do do us all a favor and from my own frustrations over her stupid superstitions, when she could do us all a favor and grow a backbone. She may be young, but she's no younger than, but she is no longer that young. Oh, fuck me sideways. It's time to put an end to this. She can't keep going on like this. She's still got plenty of years to live out. And what if she goes home? What if we're no longer there to keep her fears in line of what's real? What would she do then? I'm more afraid from her for what that kind of imagination will do to her than of what some imaginary monster could. Bitch, you saw the fucking grudge bitch, okay? I mean, goddamn. You fucking stupid bitch. You saw it, and you're still fucking saying, it's nothing, it's imaginary. but with the manner she's looking at me now, there's expectant, a hope and a plea sewn together. She wants me to believe her this time. If it's like that, what am I supposed to say now? What she wants to hear, what she needs. Well, it ain't what she wants to hear. Here's the thing. The right answer is what she wants to hear. Is that why you didn't come home? As much as I want to set her straight, a reprimand isn't what she needs right now. With that pouty face she's given me, I doubt it'll end well. I doubt it'll even end well if I push it. I know her. When she wants to be stubborn, she's stubborn. But there are moments when she can be a question. Oh, goddamn, that's word again. Questing? No, fuck it. Times when she'll be more accepting to what I'll tell her, despite her inclination to disagree with it. That talk can wait. In the meantime, I'll be the ear that listens to her without judging her, without criticizing her, despite my own opinions to it.
You should have called me.
She stares at me like I've grown another head, and a laugh slips out before I can stop myself. Nah, singular, not plural.
There? I can't do that! What will you do? Hit her with a book? You'll be dead before that happens. And
That isn't what I'm talking about. After you got out, you should have phoned me. You didn't have to go to Zachary's.
The corner of her lips curl up, a sheepish smile by general definition, but this is Isabella. Her smile is never half-hearted, never lacks her high spirits. In spite of this, I know everything's going to be okay somehow. After all, she's learned how to pick herself up long before we met.
oh, yeah. I don't even remember how I ended up in Zach's place. I was in a hurry to get out of the office, and it was already late. Besides, I don't really think you'll believe me if I wake you up over something like that.
That's beside the point. True or not, there are people who will always be concerned about you. There's Zachary, but he's the first person you went to, and you didn't tell him anything. You just slept there. There's Ashton too, and me. But how do you think I'll be able to explain to your aunt or your family if you suddenly disappeared? Think about that.
Right. I'll remember that next time.
Then she grins, playful and mischievous, a preamble to an old banter. Still not quite there, still not quite her usual self, but with it, I know we're bound to get her back soon.
Mom!
I told you not to call me that.
I sent an elbow into her side for added measure, but then laughter follows with a familiar gesture. None of it is unexpected. This is what's comfortable. This is how we've found an equal ground despite our stark differences. So for the moment, I accept things as they are. Afterwards, a hush stretches out before us. For Isabella, this is rare. This isn't her. Yet in this moment, as she fiddles with the edge of another paper near her, as she hugs her knees close to herself and lets a pensive expression linger on her, it feels strangely fitting. As if this is where everything's supposed to lead to. If we allowed it long ago. Seconds later, the moment is broken by the sound of a door opening and a voice begging some little
How
kid.
many times have I told you girls not to loiter around the hallway? It's noisy. Some people here are trying to sleep. Quiet down or go do your talking inside. I'm pinning a memo to your door the next time this happens. Millennials.
Sorry, we won't do it again.
You'd better.
The door closes and Isabella starts gathering the mess she made, carefully stacking them all in her arms. At a loss for what to do, I help pick them up. For the first time, I get a closer look at it. Completely unintentional, of course, but it catches my attention nevertheless. A confused frown makes its way across my face. Why is she looking through this? I look for her to an explanation, but she merely ignores the question in my eyes, takes the paper off my hands, and finishes cleaning up. The last paper she puts on top of a letter. The one she supposedly found in the mansion, and what's probably the root cause of this odd behavior. I shoot her a questioning look for that, too, but all she gives me is a smile. And in a halting tone, so completely unlike
Becca,
her.
I'll find a way out of this. You guys don't have to worry about me. Anyways, I should go. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
Getting myself some food. Don't wait for me.
Isabella walks away before I can stop her. Before I can remind her I bought food enough for the two of us. She quickly disappears down the stairwell, while I'm left standing in an empty hallway, holding 2 bags of takeout. One of them will go uneaten tonight. Just an innocent passing thought, one that I don't dwell much on as I head back to my room. I ignore all of it in the same way I've assumed I won't ever encounter that. I ignore it all in the same way I assumed I won't ever encounter that douche again. The 27th. What's on the 27th? Okay, so that's Zachary went to see Ashton for that. Sent to the psychiatrist. The professor. Yeah, that's all that happened on the 27th so far, so what happens here? A brief lull in the past 2 days has offered. The brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted. The brief lull of the past 2 days has offered was nice while it lasted. There we go. Or as nice as it can get with the worries Isabella's whereabouts creeping into. Or as nice as it can get with worries of Isabella's whereabouts creeping up to me every now and then. How far into it am I? God damn, I'm gonna be stuck on Rebecca's story for fucking days at this rate. I've been recording for an hour 20 minutes. Or as nice as it can get with worries of Isabella's whereabouts. Okay, yeah, I already read that. She hasn't showed up after the last talk we had in the hallway, and the dinner I brought had since been given to a different neighbor before it spoils. By all means, this shouldn't be anything to lose sleep over. She's gone on work trips before, usually for a day or two. This may simply be one of those. Although it's often with a message saying exactly where. But it's the dour note she had ended our last chat on that gnaws.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back into my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbances to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Luxembourg is a small city, relatively speaking, compared to, say, London or Glasgow. It's nothing but a tiny mass of land boasting a mere population of 68,000. That really ain't much. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing on a busy street. And if you pay close enough attention, faces taking the sidewalk or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number, it was to be T.O. fucking Luke I encounter more than once.
Oh, you know, a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow. Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble, but darling wife insisted. Who am I to say no?
Ah, are you kidding me?
His mughead is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in despite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered in the corridor of the primary careers day. It's not that he stands out. He's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with, all the confidence of the world. His mere presence dwarfing everything around him. I'm willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
A single glance at him and I know immediately that, one way or the other, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. He also excludes that air, the sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. I was thinking run him over with a fucking lawnmower. And say, oh well, it was an accident. Between him, it's neither. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in between. I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. Now I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the time, helping out sounded like a good idea. I've no classes today until after lunch. I could have opted to say stay in the teacher's lounge and work on my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. He's a good man, but Crevens, he can talk anyone's ears off. So the moment an opportunity arose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event. Maybe stay around to assist if time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through the deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy this load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back, because my pride can't handle another second of interaction with the guy. He's insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens of more or less the same temperament, all considerably younger than him, but they listened. If he wants to be difficult like the last time, so be it, but he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of my patience I can, as I step into the hall. The grip on my box tightens when I pull closer to me and attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble toward the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top, and if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That'll definitely make my life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door. If there's plenty enough people between us and there's plenty enough people to use between us. Let's cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand the stupid box to whoever's in charge, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie. But as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, something or someone barrels toward me. She latches onto my waist before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful
I
squeal.
knew it's you!
God damn it, Kylie. The force nearly throws me off balance, sending the item stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides. With the child's added weight at my waist pinning me to the spot with both my hands occupied, watching is the only thing I'm able to do. The short seconds in between slows as everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story some other time, comical even, until another set of hands reaches and steadies the posters threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor. Yeah. Hang on a second, I gotta muster my very precocious and douchey voice. Careful now, Daisy. Hold on a second. Careful now, Daisy. Don't make a mess there. Yeah, my entire body freezes. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs can catch up with what my brain is certainly screaming at me, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Irritation gives way to surprise, then confusion. It is that moment when instinct finally kicks in and I tug the box closer to me before he can...
What are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work? So much for being a center of academic excellence.
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand? Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help. Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Oh, you have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you. You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in itself, but regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Did what I've just said merely fly over his head? Were my choice of words really that difficult to comprehend? Surely it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that, actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Tio's strong. You can leave this to him. My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone. Tio says it's
confidential.
Confidential, Munchkin.
That's right. Tio's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
I'm still of the opinion that he's a piece of shite, but I must admit his goddaughter's excitement is contagious, as always. A smile makes its way to my lips. She has yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling in my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around me.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
You heard the kid.
no one's asking you.
You wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that. Shall we give it a try? Again?
He pales, stammers out for a bit until he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's probably having flashbacks to the last time we met. Oh, he's having them flashbacks. About the time the fucking bee stung him. That was a Forrest Gump joke, by the way. Except he didn't say bee, he said something bit me. God damn, now I kind of want to watch Forrest Gump again. And there goes my charger. God damn it. There we go. His composure, when he finally regains some of his bearings, says it all. It's nothing short of hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy.
I'll have you know that it just looked like it did, asshole.
Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat. How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you.
Really?
Just because you landed a hit.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear?
Oh, it was.
I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent. If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburn Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
Just give me that bloody box.
He snatches out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it in now. My prior irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's also similar to a child. Although I still have
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here? He's unusually nice today.
a far-fetched idea, I know, but it's the only reason I can think of as to why that arsehole is suddenly acting like a decent human he's, quite frankly, far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoided the very person who put a dent in his skull, as he so aptly put it. Why is he acting friendly 2 days later?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
I quickly stomped the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. He's the last person I ever want to be chummy with in this whole city, but Kylie doesn't need to know
Are
that.
you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning. Really rocky, lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
He could have done everything in favor. He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he is at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takanko this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Nights spent eating dinners alone, the number of days coming home to an empty house, growing with each passing year, and sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there, familiar though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back, having gotten tired of clinging to me. There's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact, although it makes me wonder now how much of it is real, and how much... Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real, and how much is there to mask the loneliness, if there's even one. She's a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave. I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked they asked your Tio to look after you? For this?
Nope, they didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today. Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping. That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home. I'm gonna ask for a parfait today. Extra large. Don't doubt the Kako, okay?
If listening to her like this, it's easy to get a picture of where Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. She's far from a demanding child unless you've made her a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone wherever she is. Buy her a few things and voila, you're settled. No wonder she's so attached to the man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. I can't say if the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Actually, no. I believe that they had touched on it whenever him and Hannah were talking about having a child. I believe he said he actually enjoyed having her around, but Classic
But
techniques.
before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather. Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome. Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. But before I can say my piece, douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtly Okay, I know that's not me just having a fucking aneurysm and not being able, or aneurysm, me having a fucking stroke and not being able to read. There's something seriously wrong with that sentence. And plows into the conversation with subtlety only a wrecking ball has. How fucking hard is it to have that hyperbole go instead of, plows into the conversation with every subtlety a wrecking ball has? I mean, that's a fucked up sentence there, seriously. No shite given, despite no one asking for his
Munchkin,
opinion.
sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Tia married you.
Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Well, that's true, Munchkin, technically, but it's not the same thing.
A small frown creases the girl's brows as she tries to comprehend her Tio's rather vague explanation. It's not surprising either when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times on Ashton. Whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either side of her shoulders. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute there's a smile on his face I can't place. Tender by all means for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie. Tia was already a great person before she met me.
She is? but I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Well, Tia's much, much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like millions?
No, gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, leagues, Munchkin.
Way, way better than I'll ever be.
For some reason, I don't think he's still talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed the change in him. The slight shift in his smile from one that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he has always been fond of, but has often kept to himself. And in that fleeting glimpse of it, a tiny, insignificant part of the world somehow also shifts. Opinions change, impressions move.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa. He computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him. Then, without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and lightly pats her shoulder, in a gesture to end their conversation right here and there. Probably before he can say anything other things he never intended to say, or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
All right, but wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
As soon as she disappears behind the small crowd, none the wiser in the sudden change in mood around her. Luke straightens as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind now that there's no one to reassure. Despite that, a chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snaps to me, as an accusing glare clearly in his eyes. Although it's less threatening now, considering what I had witnessed earlier. Funny how one person's impressions of someone can easily change with that minute.
Why are you laughing like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today. Don't let it bother you.
Putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman? If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me. That good teacher act isn't going to fool anyone.
What makes you think it has to do with you? I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
I let out another laugh. More to delay than to express any sort of amusement over the matter. In truth, I don't know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word might offend the man. He's childish enough for that, even if what I'm about to say is just mere honest observations. Well, regardless of how he reacts, it's not like it'll have an impact on anything between us. I've got no plans of getting too friendly with the man, although he might have some good points, emphasis on might. Oops, shit. What's up my computer tray? There we go. Oops. 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 Fuck, what was I doing? Oh yeah. Best treatment I can hope myself to give him is to stop thinking of him as a sleazy douchebag. Besides, after seeing that look on him, I figure someone like him can use a little compliment here and there. He probably doesn't get it much considering how coarse his own language can get.
Can't you act a wee bit polite for even a second of your life? It won't kill you. You'll easily get answers that way, you know? Instead of demanding things from people like a temperamental man-child.
I'll be nice when I want to be, woman. Don't tell me what to do.
And here I was just thinking how you're doing a brilliant job as Kylie's guardian. Was I mistaken?
Was I mistaken? What? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Stop playing dumb. I hate to admit it, but you actually seem to be good with kids. Possibly even better than most of the teachers here. What do you know?
I expected him to just take it all in, bloat his ego more, and even brag about it. Instead, what I get is a sound remarkable. What I get from him is a sound resembling a squawk. Or maybe he's him choking on his own pride, I can't tell above the hubbub surrounding us. But when I glance at him, only a mortified expression is on his face.
No.
No? You should be proud of yourself. At least there's this one good thing about you. Isn't that nice to hear? Pretty sure not a lot of compliments get thrown around about you, knowing how you are.
There are a lot of good things about me, Daisy. My hair, for one. There's also my extraordinary good looks. Wax lyrical about those all you want. I'd be happy to hear it any day. Praise anything about me but that.
What is so repulsive about it? Even Kylie likes you. Shouldn't that tell you anything about yourself?
Kylie is one kid, not even my own. Trust me, you do not want to see me bring a spawn of my own into this world. It'll be an abomination.
Is that what you keep telling yourself?
Maybe. Is it any of your business?
No. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is because you yourself think you're a little piece of shite and somehow it'll pass on. It doesn't work like that, by the way.
The last remark just kind of came out. There might be a sliver of truth to it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even from my own standards or the kind person I'm talking to, still quite rude. An apology is already in my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I've prepared myself to say dissipates, lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air, softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. I might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it. The words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it might be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulls out of his arse. It has come about because he's already been there. Likely he's stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier after all. Less room for mistakes, more of a dose for self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you think just when you thought you already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yet, it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. It's the mystery that catches him, of wanting to find out what's underneath that bravado. I don't count myself among those yet. His winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond that Cosmo emphasizing this man, empathizing with the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. There we go. If the comfortable silence we now share tells anything, that's it. Perhaps this is as close to friendship that we can get. Several insults flung around with a few shared silences in between, and that's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start we had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing in a little comment to lift his mood before
You
leaving.
know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will. But a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Ah, bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
His indifferent expression quickly dissolves into a confused scowl, while I meet it with a matching perplexity. It had only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe. After you left, she was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite thick, and I'm really getting worried about you. It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke exhales, long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing the companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me escapes me. But above my worries of offending him, it's my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's...
Miss Pink!
Uh-oh. Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around my waist again. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face in it. Her arms windingly tighten around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now anyway. Those that still linger, though, watches our little group with great interest and concern. If I didn't get a better handle on the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away her tears, creating little trails on her cheeks. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie. Calm down. What happened?
It's my friend!
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Yeah.
Did the two of you fight?
She nods and immediately clams up after, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, or as much of her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff. When he shifts on his feet, he must not be used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out!
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
Another nod.
She won't say what's wrong! I kept asking her, but she told me to go away! Career day's going to start soon! I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us if we're good! She's gonna miss it!
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After I saved it for her, too. She and Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told them it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Just a little childish argument then. Sometimes, times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. Sometimes like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. Okay. Fuck it. I do love being around children and won't mind having one or two of my own in the future, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who are willing to who willingly took the challenge. Normally, I'll leave this for their homeroom teacher to fix, but I can't ignore the imploring look she shoots me. That's another weakness I'll have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I give
Okay,
it to it.
tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. Luke trails quietly behind us. Doesn't seem like anything serious is going to be happening. Even with the small distance between us, his apprehension is palpable, understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat. But in the end, this is all part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridors and the halls lingering its sides are empty, save for the gentle rustling of leaves and the twittering birds outside and the tapping of our foots against the floor. The whole area stays eerily quiet. Not unusual though. This is part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the school day, and with the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. Come afternoon, right after class, it'll once again be filled with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, headed straight for it. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of the drama, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Sometime before we made the turn down the hallway, she had stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Probably to brace her, calm herself, or whatever. Maybe this is her way of preparing to pull her friend out of her sulk. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The door's slightly ajar when I get to it, and from inside the sobs of the girl echo weakly, barely audible even in this kind of hush. Turns out Kylie's not the only one upset about this. Despite the situation, a smile forms on my lips as I call out to her friend.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you? Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Children can be so assuming sometimes. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age, and the endearing thing about them outweigh those all you need is enough level of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it. Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no sign of abating. They only grow louder. Not close to a wail, alarming regardless.
Are you okay?
From where I'm standing, it sounds almost like she's in some sort of pain, and it's not. And it's not impossible. They do that all the time, hiding what ails them, or fear of a reprimand. It's not like that. Coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chooses the loo furthest from their classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait and amble toward the door calmly so I don't alarm her. At the same time, a distinct sense of deja vu hits me. I've been in this position before, behind a door and someone crying on the other side. My calls ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring any comfort. I'm putting up for a child beside me. Yeah. I'm putting up for a child beside me is the thick undercurrent of worry trickling into my stomach. I take one last breath when I nudge open the door. All of it happens in the span of a second. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Light footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat, and when I turn...
Kylie?
She's been possessed by the grudge bitch! Where am I? Yeah.
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her. Words catch in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my chest. This is Kylie, I'm sure of it, yet nothing in the manner she speaks, or the way she tilts her head in question, carries the youthful, innocent vibe she always brings with her. As if I'm merely looking at the dead, hollow imitation of a child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
But it is not those that trigger a memory, with those chilling eyes, calling, beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
All at once the memory returns to me. A tide that can recede the tide that has receded and now returned to shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago, of a world passing by in a blur and features I could barely discern under the little light there is. Not even a week has passed. At this minute, while I keep my eyes trained on the child before me, they return to such unbearable charity. There is no horrid wounds this time, no blood streaming down her pale face, thank heavens. Just lips contorted in a small, twisted smile. They brim with venom. I've never expected to ever see in a child, sending tiny pinpricks of dread crawling into my limbs, or up my limbs and winding up my neck. You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die. I can't breathe. Those whispers and laughters again. Judging, mocking, taunting, each scathing word ringing sharp and true against my ears. My throat closes in. My whole body tenses. A chill settles at the tips of my fingers. Every digit gone rigid from the cold. With every single draw of my breath, any struggle for air or freedom, the coils wrapped around my body tighten, dragging me down. A gradual, torturous descent into another bottomless abyss. On and on and on, until I lose touch with myself and the world.
Help me!
until darkness claims me, and, unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the thick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I don't have all morning to wait for you two.
My eyes snap open, the world shifts into place with a ragged gasp. When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
No anger, no wild hatred in them, just plain sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings and myself as warmth steadily slips back into me. I've reached out for the nearby counter to steady myself at some point, and my knuckles have gone white from how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now, yet the tension hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against my chest in an erratic rhythm, and my breathing still comes in short, shallow bursts. Fucking yawns. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do to an adult in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Tio, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just leave me alone.
Tio will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I could speak reassurances to her, but I can't shake it off. The dread is there, twisting in my insides in anticipation. Of what? I'm no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break into a run. Brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me, then I gently push her away on my way out. With the furrow on the... When I gently push her away on my way out, or the furrow on Luke's brow, when I stumble into him outside. Wherever they both saw on my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances. Every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see a normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. You'd think getting my fourth cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort. That doesn't look like tea, that looks more like weed. Or is this the fifth? Egad, why does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed out at some sort of lapse on my part after having been sick for weeks
And
before.
it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories, century-old lore passed down from the locals to keep the children in line. The place doesn't have those. One of my Da's books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed their unborn child who feed on unborn children straight from their mother's womb, or hell, there's even a story about a demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it. Most probably told to scare off the natives there back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody ladder than some awful holy
Perhaps
prank.
Isabella's right all along.
A terrible thing, if true. Though that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ring of my mobile phone takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me. The screen lights up, my brows knit together. Marianne Calla. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person in my contact list. It takes a moment. When it clicks, my eyes zero in on the book lying wide open on my table. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a fellow history buff apparently. We were after the same book, and in the end she had given it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I completely forgot about it up till now, and, well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally I'd be done with the whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out. About 1 or 2, depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than anticipated. One moment I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend stops showing up to her flat right after worrying reports pop up on the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I've been flipping through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. The phone gives out another ring, and this time I don't hesitate to answer.
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon, unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
That's a peculiar question to ask someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she was heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised. 3rd generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright, I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it to lead to this. She must not have lived here very long. She must not have lived here long if she's just asking about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, and that's Isabella. But that's Isabella, superstitious down to the last hair. Though I won't be too far off in thinking Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here a few years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is, oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
What the hell's up with the fucking... It must have been the sunny weather. It makes me sick and see stupid things.
No, wait. It's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment pause before she responds again. She's right in that. This is a silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded in their beliefs with regards of those things. I won't blame her for
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well,
Alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her the concise summary from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who built it. Upon the point, it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it wasn't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. Those are all nothing she probably hasn't heard before. Yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know, there's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drinking has given me. Actually, hang on. Yeah. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns to a firm grip. The whole letter bullshit's starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know? By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
She ends the call abruptly and only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. Yeah, that's bad. The mood around my classroom had gone considerably denser in light of what I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine. I'd give her that. But she left a lot of things out. I get the sense she's only asked because something happened around her too. And if she hadn't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of those are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion has been formed with what we do. No concrete conclusion has been formed with what we have, and if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be more to those there might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very places that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance. I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now. I just can't wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay. And I step out of the room, ready to put an end to the day. Alright. I'm saving. I'm actually going to cut it here. So, if you like the video, well, let me first go on a little preamble here. So, shit's picking up with Rebecca. Let me check the gallery. Oh, no. Oh, there's an epilogue. Oh, I missed all but one. Well. Anyway, shit's picking up with Becca. She's finally coming around to the idea that the, ghost lady is real, and the letter is actually some fucking weird shit going on, or has some weird shit going on with it. But yeah, story's picking up again. Well, anyway, if you like the video, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.